The Ready Set Grow podcast is sponsored by Ag Expert, software designed for Canadian agriculture. Visit them today at agexpert.ca. Welcome to the Ready Set Grow podcast, where we like to showcase startup and early stage companies, as well as visit with innovators in the agriculture and food industry. Today, we're here with Joe Dales, co-founder of RH Accelerator, and our guests, Ray Chyc, entrepreneur and founder of Engage Agro, and Nolan Berg, president of Azotic North America. Ray and Nolan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Great to be here. You guys, have been old friends. I'm really delighted today to have a discussion. Ray, we've known each other for a long time. You've had a great entrepreneurial history and career. Tell us the story again. We were just kind of chuckling about startups and what were you thinking? I love this story.
No, that's a very good question. What were you thinking? Yeah, no, it's a little bit of horseshoes and a little bit of right place at the right time, I think.
Well, and your skill is there, so don't be modest.
It's all working out, and the team's working with it as well. So, but no, Azotic, I'll give you a quick background on myself and how I was thinking what I was thinking. So my background is I'm brought up on the dairy farm, southwestern Ontario. Despite my name has no syllables, I'm a Canadian country boy.
Where was the farm again?
Down near Aylmer, southwestern Ontario.
Perfect.
Yeah, in 1974, I remember we had the second biggest dairy farm in Ontario. That's the year they were giving out quota. So I was in the barn a lot, learned what work was, and carried on and got the heck off the farm. Went to the University of Guelph, got my undergrad degree, and went out west for work. I had my own business out there and custom seed treating on canola, and then worked for Uniral Chemicals for a while. Went back and did my MBA and landed at Ciba-Geigy in 1990, where I was in marketing for specialty products, basically. Yeah, I was there. Well, and I think that's somewhere along the line I met you there, Joe.
That's where I was. I was on the seed side. Yeah, and that's where we met.
Yeah. So anyway, I was there a little over 4 years, and Ciba-Geigy, big company, they had a lot of little products that they weren't bringing to market. They didn't meet the criteria. So I went to the president and said, "Hey, why don't you let me do that? I will register them, make sure they're safe and they work, and I'll buy them off you. And at the end of the year, I'll give you a bag of money, and then all the minor use guys are kind of happy too, right? So they got their products." And so we did. He agreed, and we did that. And Engage Agro was born in 1995. So the focus of Engage was niche crop protection products for Canada. So that ran from 1995 all the way till the day I sold it in 2016. So that was 23 years of growth, and we managed a lot of different products over that period of time. And there was a demand for it in the U.S., so we started Engage USA in 2010. And I think it was 2016 or 17, right in there, where Balcom Crop Protection, Dirk Puttiman, I knew the owner over there. He was looking for legs in North America, so he bought Engage, and off we went. But during that time with Engage, my focus was niche. The concept of nitrogen fixing bacteria came up, and that's how this evolved. Was through Engage. I became one of the founders in Azotic UK, along with 4 other guys. And basically, the company was started, and with the rights to Gluconocidobacter, Diazotrophicus, that took me almost a year to say. But we call it GD, and in North America, it's branded Invita, Envita. So that began in 2012. University of Nottingham actually discovered that the bacteria out of sugarcane fixes nitrogen from the air and then takes it through the whole crop. So theory being, if you could isolate that bacteria and make a product and then sell it, use it on all crops, theoretically, you've got the Holy Grail, which, everybody was chiming about the Holy Grail years ago in terms of nitrogen fixation. I don't know the Holy Grail, but there's a Grail for sure. So over, I'll say 2012 to 16, 17, a lot of research, right? A lot of research into how it worked, how we could make it work, how to produce it, licensing, all those kinds of things happened. All at the same time Engage Agro was running. When I sold Engage, that piece of it was excluded. So we formed Azotic North America to handle the distribution rights and the licensing and not production, but all the other components to get it launched in North America, registration, those kinds of things. And yeah, it since 2017, I'll say our first year of sales was in the USA in 2018. We've got really good results across a lot of crops. Knowing that corn and beans is the bulk of the acres, we decided to focus our efforts there in terms of commercialization. So we spent a lot of time with U.S. growers in 2016, but really started escalating 17, 18 down there. Started in furrow corn and realized by accident and a little bit is how often the greatest things are invented by accident, that it worked well on foliarly as well. So we do have a product now that's been on the market for 3 years in the U.S. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nolan, but 3 years, 18, 19, and 20. Good growth every year, good results every year. There's the odd time where you're not getting a big benefit, but it does no harm. This is one of those products that does no harm and has a good upside to it as well. So great mechanics for a product. It's good for the farmer, reasonable price, good payback, and it can do all kinds of things with carbon sequestering and those kinds of things too, if you really wanted to dive into the research. But yeah, we're pretty excited. I mean, from a global perspective, this has legs more than just USA, obviously, in Canada. Canada, we got registration last June, not in time to get it on acres, but I think there was a few. But the growers in Canada are pretty aware of what's going on south of the border. So we got that registration, and it looks like there's going to be pretty good uptake this year in terms of trial use. And we stand behind it too. I mean, it's one of those things, we know what it's going to do in different situations to a degree. So we're happy to provide that assurance to farmers. But globally, this thing is going to go, we feel, fairly broad, fairly quick. So from a UK point of view, from where the head office is, there's some pretty deep pockets looking at how to expand this product through the globe. Rice growers in China. I mean, you got cotton growers in the U.S. You got sugar beet growers in Europe. It's got a lot of applications. So, and non-GMO. It's potentially organic. So there's lots of places you can go with this thing. It's a cool little bug.
Congratulations. I'm really delighted. And people may not know, but organizations like Becker Underwood, were founded in the UK as well. And so they have a great history of research on the biologicals. And it wasn't that many years till Becker Underwood really took off, because I helped launch High Stick when I was at First Line Seeds. So you just have to keep showing the benefit like you have been. And, farmers will see the benefits of these products. So Nolan, we've known each other for a long time. This is a great opportunity. You're spearheading it. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick? And I'd be really interested in, if I'm a farmer, how can I access this product? What do I need to do? A bit more, farmers like to get down into the detail. So let you kind of rip on that for a bit.
Sure, that sounds good. So so I'm the Western contingent here, I guess, to raise Central and Eastern contingent. But I started out in ag about 25, 30 years ago. I'm a U of A Aggie. Been traipsing around the crop protection business for many years. Started out with Ciba Geigy. That's where I met Ray when he was a product manager and I was a brand new sales rep on the Lethbridge, Alberta. So, I started out with that, went Ciba Geigy to Novartis, went to DuPont, got into the consulting side of things, consulted to First Line Seeds, to Monsanto, Bayer, Syngenta, Agricor United. So I've been a lucky guy, been able to work with a lot of great people across Canada and the U.S. And I guess about 4 years ago, I was sitting down over some pancakes with Ray in Guelph. We were solving the problems of the world, and he said, "Hey, I got this new thing that I'm bringing to market, and and I need some help. And, over some pancakes and syrup, we created a plan, and here we are 4 years later. So
You lost the costs.
Exactly. So, so that's me. And in terms of Azotic, as Ray set it up really well. Like it is, I got to say, out of the last 30 years that I've been involved in all sorts of ag innovations, this is truly the most exciting thing that I've had the pleasure of being involved in. So what I like when I get into this, what I like to do is just get people's head into where they've been on nitrogen fixation and what's new here. So I think most people would be quite familiar with soybeans and rhizobia and nodules and nitrogen fixation that way. So, which is pretty amazing in itself. When you start comparing what Invita does compared to what rhizobia does, you have rhizobia that is in soil, forms into nodules, works into the soil and in the rhizosphere, translocates that nitrogen back up to the plant. With Invita, we not only get into the roots, but the bacteria works its way throughout the plant. It gets into the foliage, it gets into new growth, it gets into it stays in old growth, it gets into the roots. And so essentially for a crop like corn, you end up turning corn into a nitrogen fixing machine where it is producing its nitrogen from the inside out. And, when you start thinking about that and you start thinking about, what is a crop up against? And the answer is a lot of stresses, too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, pest pressure, weed pressure, you name it. And whenever a plant starts to get into those type of stresses, the efficiency of that plant starts to go down. The translocation of that plant starts to get less efficient because it's dealing with the stresses. So even if you have as much nitrogen as you need, even if you're a soybean plant that has access to nitrogen in the roots, it is basically an equation based on the nitrogen use efficiency. How efficient can that nitrogen get to where it needs to get to, and when it needs to get to it. So the simplicity of Invita is the magic in that it is getting into every cell, exactly where photosynthesis is taking place and creating a natural source of nitrogen when and where the plant needs it. So when you start looking at the nitrogen, the peak nitrogen curves and how much nitrogen do you need in your crop, those are based on the traditional models of how efficient nitrogen can be with nitrogen fertilizers. So we are actually raising the curve in terms of where peak nitrogen can go, where nitrogen can take the yield of that crop, simply because translocation and the stresses on the plant become less of a factor. It's sitting exactly when and where it's needed.
Yeah, it's terrific. So Ray said there was a bunch of ways that it's applied. Fill us in a little bit there just to remind the farmers, and then let's talk about availability and how they can either connect with you guys or reach out through distribution, whatever you've got set up.
Yeah, excellent. So as Ray said, we started out in furrow and we learned quite a bit about what Invita can do in furrow. And so essentially, if a guy's going in furrow, he's likely putting in some starter fertilizers. So Invita is very compatible with all the leading starter fertilizers, can be mixed in and applied. The problem with in furrow, of course, is not everybody has an in furrow kit. Not everybody's doing that. And so that's where, as Ray mentioned, we got into the foliar side of things, and we're getting tremendous results on the foliar. It's matching up very nicely to the yield advantages that we get in furrow. So it is working out really well. So that can be applied in a tank mix with a post-emerging herbicide.
Okay. So early stage. You're not going late stage like the fungicides and stuff. So
correct.
Okay.
can go a little later, but the sweet spot that we're finding is right at that herbicide application timing.
Okay.
So that works really well. What we haven't touched upon yet, like we've been talking about corn, and crops like and soybeans and so on. One of the most unique things about this little microbe here is that we have yet to find a crop that it cannot colonize. It has an amazing ability to colonize. We colonize any crop. So where we've gone really deep into so far is corn. We put it into soybeans to see what it would do, and it's amazing on soybeans as well because it gets in so fast. We're seeing a pop-up effect at germination with soybeans because rhizobia takes a while to establish, to make a nodule, to get that nitrogen going. We get a much faster nitrogen push into that crop. So corn, soybeans, canola. It's looking really good on canola. We've been working on the cereal crops in foliar. Rice, rice isn't really a big deal for us in Canada, but it does amazing things on rice. Ray mentioned sugar beets. It's ramping up the yield and the sugar percent. So, our biggest challenge is getting to all the places where Invita can be helping out on different farms, different crops. But back to your question. So yes, in furrow and foliar. And right now we're working on. Right now it's a liquid formulation, so it comes in a 4 liter jug, and a case is 4x4. So a jug treats 40 acres. A case treats 160 acres. It's easy to use. What we're working on right now is actually a dry formulation, and so that will help move less water around. Also help with shelf life, multi-year shelf life on it, and ultimately that dry is going to be used into seed treatments. And so seed treatments, we worked on the seed treatments with the liquid. It's just we're really focused on the dry right now because it's just so much easier to work a dry into that application. But so right now in furrow, foliar, and seed treatment.
Perfect. I wouldn't be a farmer if I didn't say, roughly what's this going to cost me an acre, and what are the, what's it going to make me an acre?
Yeah,
put my farmer hat on.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's so suggested retail price on Invita in Canada is $12.95 an acre,
mm-hmm.
and so when you start on average, what we see, we'll see anywhere from a 5 to 20% yield increase. So farmers can use it two ways. This is another interesting aspect of it, and I'll come back to the ROI here. But farmers can use it two ways. They can either apply it to their typical fertility program. So call whatever that any given field, is whatever the recommended rate for nitrogen in that field. Call that 100%. So you can apply Invita to that fertility program, and essentially what you'll see is somewhere between a 5 and a 20% increase. On average, we get somewhere between 6 to 8 bushels from our research. And so again, that comes from that nitrogen use efficiency. That's just driving up more of what that plant can get out of nitrogen, right place at the right time type of thing. So when you start looking at that, and what's corn worth these days? I'll put
so there's good returns. They'll do that math in their heads. So
a little over 4 US right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you look at that and you say, okay, so it's like 4. If you called it 4, that'd be, call it about $28, $25 to $30 an acre return against the $12.95 cost in. So. Yeah. So that it's a 2 to 3x return, which is getting a really good feedback from farmers. And as Ray said, we guarantee it. If it doesn't pay for itself, we'll get the product back. So we're very confident with the consistency of this product.
Perfect. What so if I
right.
want more information or I want to try it, what are the next steps? So you've got me interested. I want to try it on a couple hundred acres of corn. What do I do?
So the first thing we have a very robust website that have videos and all sorts of information. So we would have people, start there. So that is Azotic, AZOTIC dash NA for North America.com. So azotic-na.com. And that'll get you all sorts of information on it. It is available widely in Canada. We have distribution through Nexus BioAg, who is servicing us across Canada. So dealers can talk to Nexus BioAg and get access to it. And growers, all we ask of growers is just go to your local dealership. They probably have already heard about it. If they haven't, have the dealer talk to us or Nexus BioAg, and we'll get that product there right away.
And is Ben Libby's involved with Nexus?
Yes.
There's another, that gives me a lot of comfort because he's a biologicals, champion in Canada with Becker Underwood, and worked with him for a long, long time. So that should give everybody confidence too. In this, you've assembled a great team, guys. I'm really, really impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. The one other thing I'll just mention, because growers ask it quite a bit, is as we start looking at, there's more regulations coming in, a lot of it coming into the States, nitrogen regulations and so on. So we often get the question like, what would happen if we cut back our nitrogen? And the answer on a crop like corn is we have 27% replacement. So you could drop your nitrogen 27% from your regular program and get basically the same yield as you would at 100%. This is, what we described before is what 99% of growers are doing these days. They're looking, it's looking for that productivity. But I think it'll become more of the conversation as we go forward, is if a guy is in a position where he needs to cut back his nitrogen for whatever reason, he has another option to do so. So, ultimately what we love about this product is, in the past, there's been, you either have to choose a path of productivity or sustainability, and, one or the other. And now there's no compromise with a product like Invita. Now you can have the productivity and the sustainability within that jug, and you can manage your farm to whatever it needs.
That's really cool. Ray, I was wondering, we get to work with a lot of sort of startups in the agriculture space. Do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs who are starting out?
You have a go at it and keep your costs under control. So generally speaking, if you have a great idea and you put pen or pencil to paper, actually pencil it, because you can rub it out and put different numbers in. Go ahead and give it a try, because I'm involved with a sustainability grant at the University of Guelph for that very reason. I believe very strongly in entrepreneurship and having people try. Because one thing is for sure is if you don't try, nothing's going to happen. That's always the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank both of you for joining us today and sharing a lot of information. Before we head out, is there any, last topics that you want to touch on?
I don't have anything else. It's exciting. It's an exciting time in agriculture from a lot of perspectives, and we're really looking forward to participating with our little bug that hopefully can help a lot of farms.
Okay. Is there any way that our listeners can connect with you two online?
Nolan?
Yeah. So Invita has social feeds, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find Ray and I on LinkedIn. If you want to look at some really old posts, you can look at my Twitter feed. Most of what I do is in the thick of the Invita side. I think Ray, I don't know if you have any other social feeds that you're actively working.
I have no social feeds. I just email and my phone. Right, that's if I started getting in all that, I'd be in front of the computer all day long. But
So the website's a good place to
website's
connect.
good spot. Email is a good spot, and all the social media stuff that Nolan and his team are doing, that's awesome. Yeah.
Perfect. And I just wanted to thank our listeners for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast today. And thank you again, Ray and Nolan, for joining us and telling us about Azotic and Invita.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.